Nick's Kids and Habitat for Humanity have been helping tornado survivors ever since April 27th. WVUA 23's Justina Banoob spoke with a grateful woman who's lost everything twice.
Meet Shalare Powell, a woman who survived 2 natural disasters.
I don't consider myself a Katrina victim because I survived with my life, and a lot of people lost their lives. So I consider myself a Katrina survivor.
But to make matters worse,
2 years later, I lost my mother to cancer. Then I came to Alabama to visit.
After a warm embrace from the people of Tuscaloosa, Powell decided to stay and call Alabama her new home. But just 2 months after making Tuscaloosa her home, she faced her second tragedy, losing everything again in the April 27th tornado.
We're seeing the rotation.
I heard my neighbors screaming, and I opened my front door, and when I looked out the door, I seen Alberta Elementary, the school, just dissipating, and the sky got black. And at that moment, I knew it was time to take shelter. I ran into my restroom and got in the tub, and I started feeling debris like falling on me, and I looked up and my roof was like it was coming off.
With an EF4 twister outside her door, she didn't think she'd survive again.
Panic. It was like panic set in, like not again. It was fear, not knowing if I was gonna be able to make it through another natural disaster.
Her home on Juanita Drive decimated, but she thanks God for sparing her life twice.
By the grace of God, I made it out the bathroom, out the tub, into my closet. And by the time I opened my closet door and stepped in, the wind pushed it and closed it behind me, and everything fell on me, and my neighbor pulled me out.
After the storm, Powell feared that starting over for the second time was too much.
Not knowing where my next meal was gonna come from, I went from being like living in a hotel, being hungry and homeless, to working 2 and 3 days a week, to moving into an apartment in not a very nice neighborhood, and having to work 2 and 3 jobs to being blessed with a home.
And that home was the 15th by the Nick's Kids Foundation through Habitat.
The confidence that that she received, I think, from becoming a homeowner, from the way that her world has changed from a very unstable place, having lost everything twice, to having a place to call her own, that cannot be valued.
Robert Reed is another Habitat homeowner. Until the storm, Reed and his family lived in a trailer in Holt, but the twister ripped it apart.
That day, he survived. He was injured himself. His wife was critically injured. His niece was critically injured. And the sheriff drove up right after the storm. And he said, I've got to get my wife and my niece to the hospital. And the sheriff saw everything around, and Robert is an incredibly strong guy. And so the sheriff said, I will treat your family as if they were my own, and I will stay with them if you will stay here and pull people from the rubble. And so that's what happened. The sheriff's deputy took his wife and his niece to the hospital. He stayed with them as the doctors treated them.
While Reed pulled 12 people from the rubble.
And one of them died in his arms.
If you put people first over yourself, that you'll be blessed more.
Since that deadly day, nearly 18,000 volunteers across 50 states and 6 continents traveled to build Habitat homes for tornado victims.
There was a guy who drove up in a pickup truck full of water and a chainsaw from Ohio, and I said, sir, where are you from? He said, Ohio. I said, tell me why you're here. He said, I just saw what happened and I had to come and help.
Habitat for Humanity helps breathe new life into communities devastated by disasters.
Habitat, they don't give you a handout, they give you a hand up.
Home ownership gives families and their communities a sense of pride.
The things that our homeowners have gone through to get to this point, and to have that stability, that is provided by having a home to call your own, is really an amazing process to be a part of.
There's still plenty to do on Juanita Drive and in other parts of Tuscaloosa, and you can help. Habitat for Humanity is always looking for financial donations and volunteers. You can find out more about getting involved online at habitattuscaloosa.org. And don't forget about Nick's Kids. If they're not helping tornado survivors build new homes, they're helping children. You can find out more at nickskidsfoundation.org. Reporting live in Tuscaloosa, Justina Banoob, WVUA 23 News.
Next, stories from the men and women who must stand their ground when disaster strikes, including Tuscaloosa's top firefighter, Chief Alan Martin. That's when Faces of the Storm 5 years later continues.